Have you ever been bombarded with pings, notifications, meeting requests throughout the week? Wouldn't it be nice if you were in a world where you could do your work, be in the zone, get some deep work done, and at the same time be in complete sync with the rest of your team? Wouldn't that be awesome? Today, I'm going to talk about a shift in mindset for entire teams, especially dev teams. And this is how I've been doing it for my dev teams for the past few years. And I've seen significant increase in productivity, work-life balance, and transforming teams from an okay average team to a really high-performing and efficient team. I'm talking about asynchronous collaboration. This is a kind of collaboration where responses are not expected immediately. This allows team members to work in time blocks and practice deep work, which is a very respected and high-quality form of work that has recently become really popular. Let's talk about meetings. More specifically, status update meetings. And these are the types of meetings where you have managers or stakeholders ask a team member or a developer for an update on the task that they're working on. In offices, this could mean tapping on the shoulder and asking for an update. In remote teams, it could mean pinging them and asking them for a status update. Now, these are important for the managers because they need to report to higher-ups and they need to ensure that projects are on time and on budget, but it does interrupt the developer from their work. This type of a ad hoc meeting would definitely be classified as an unproductive meeting because there are better alternatives, which I will get to in a bit. Some studies have shown that employees spend up to 31 hours in a month on unproductive meetings, such as these status update meetings. In a world where we have lots of tools and AI, there is no need for status update meetings anymore, and there are lots of much better ways of getting these updates and ensuring that projects are on track. Here's why it's important. Developers should have uninterrupted coding sessions. When a developer is interrupted from the zone, it could take them up to 20 minutes to get back on track and regain focus. Imagine how much time a team could build if developers were not interrupted as much. I'd like to talk about work-life balance. Now, this has been a challenge for decades now in all offices and all work environments, especially in development teams. And with the pandemic, the work-life balance situation has become more challenging. You would think that with all of the time saved on commute, the work-life balance might have improved, but some studies have shown that up to 70% of employees have experienced burnout in a remote working environment. And this could possibly be because they have access to their work computer at home, and so they are always available. And so employers and teams that are not careful end up essentially burning out the employees. Asynchronous collaboration is really important here because it allows the employees to get into deep work during their peak hours and then unplug at other times when they need to be with their family and have other commitments. So this is a change and shift in mindset for entire teams where there's no expectation for employees to respond immediately when they're sent a message on the work chat. Collaboration across time zones is another interesting topic here. Let's say 20, 30 years ago, it was impossible. Remote teams were also rare. A lot of money had to be spent on flying and on trips and things like that. And very few really large companies could afford to do that. With tools like Skype, it started becoming easier. You could work remotely and a lot of costs became simpler. But that came with its own set of challenges. For example, now experimented teams across time zones. And the challenge there is that it was hard to find and schedule meetings that worked for everyone. And so the solution for that was night shifts, where you had some teams, offshore teams, working nights to be on the same time zone as, let's say, the head office or the rest of the team. And this works in a short period of time, but there's a lot of scientific literature to show that human beings need long exposure to sunlight. And when they are restricted from that for long periods of time, it can affect their happiness and well-being. And this, in turn, would affect the productivity of the employee. Now, all of this can change if the entire team embraces an asynchronous collaboration culture and mindset where employees can contribute on their schedule, on their time zone, and on their peak hours. And there's no expectation for team members to respond immediately. Changing to this mindset can greatly improve productivity in a team and also make it possible for teams to work across various time zones. Let's say you do embrace an asynchronous collaboration culture in your team. Here's how you could use this to your advantage when working with remote teams. You could have, for example, a QA team or the team within a team. QA team that is that is on a later time zone than the development team. And then what can happen is developers can work on their features or bugs and then hand it off to the QA team at the end of their shift. And then the QA team could then test the work, provide feedback if there's any, and then the developers could pick it up the following day. And so this allows for continuous value being added to the project as opposed to everyone working in parallel where handoffs are not as simple and as fluid. Now, here are some consequences of having an asynchronous collaboration team culture. You end up having a lot of written content and information in messaging software such as Slack and Basecamp, and also in ticketing software such as Jira and Linear and so on. And all of this information is creating this huge history of a knowledge base. Now, previously, 20, 30 years ago, there were entire teams that were dedicated to managing the intranet or the knowledge base information for internal users and employees, but also for external users in terms of documentation. With an asynchronous team, a lot of this knowledge base is written by itself. It just maintains itself when you have developers communicating and collaborating with each other on group chats. This makes it possible for new members or other teams who are not part of the conversation to then go into the group chats and look at past history and learn from the decisions on why a particular tech stack was chosen, or certain decisions that were made by the team, investigations that could take place. All of this can happen right now that couldn't happen before. And what makes this even more wonderful is now that you have meetings, you've got AI transcripts and AI summaries that could be added to this knowledge base. And then you have the ability to chat with a knowledge base, chat with the history. Can you imagine having a setup like that, where an onboarding process or new members could just chat with entire years and years of history of chat conversations, ticketing software history, meetings, and of course, the setup has to be such that sensitive meetings have the right access levels. But assuming all of that is taken care of, imagine the possibilities with something like this. Now, if a team that does not embrace asynchronous culture will not have a lot of these benefits and would still have to live through the pains of what teams 20 years ago had to deal with. If you're in a software team, I would highly advise you to embrace asynchronous collaboration culture and work towards it. It's not an overnight shift. For me and my teams, it has taken weeks and months to first of all communicate these concepts, and then for all the team members to embrace this and change their mindset and change their habits. It takes time, but it's worth it. I will say that. And I've mentioned a lot of tips and advice and tools that are available. And it's important for teams to embrace this culture, find ways that work for their team, create awareness with the team, put into practices and policies and workflows that make it easy for asynchronous collaboration, while at the same time making it difficult and painful for synchronous type of communication, which is an expensive way of managing a team. I hope this was helpful. Please share in the comments how you have used asynchronous collaboration and how you find it. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you've tried it and gone back to the old-fashioned synchronous collaboration. Let me know in the comments what works and doesn't work, and hope to see you next time. Bye.